Brentwood's quiet, tree-lined streets were shattered on December 14, 2025, when a horrifying crime unfolded in one of Los Angeles's most exclusive neighborhoods. The sense of safety that residents cherished was instantly replaced by fear and disbelief. That night, acclaimed filmmaker Rob Reiner, 78, and his wife Michelle, 70, were found dead in their elegant home, sending shockwaves through the city and beyond. The brutality of the crime stunned Hollywood. Both victims had suffered fatal knife wounds. There was no sign of forced entry, no broken windows or doors, only a chilling silence that suggested the killer was someone they knew. The lack of a break-in pointed to someone they trusted, turning suspicion inward and leaving friends and family reeling with questions. Within just 24 hours, the LAPD made a shocking arrest. Their son, 32-year-old Nick Reiner, was taken into custody, accused of the unthinkable. The news rocked the tight-knit community. Neighbors gathered in disbelief as police and news crews swarmed the once peaceful street. A beloved Hollywood family admired for decades was suddenly torn apart from within. Rob Reiner, director of classics like The Princess Bride and A Few Good Men, was a pillar of American film and a cherished figure in the entertainment world. His influence stretched far beyond Hollywood. The idea that his life, and Michelle's, ended in violence, allegedly at the hands of their own son, was almost too dark to believe. Fans and friends gathered for vigils, struggling to process the tragedy. Nick was held without bail, charged with double homicide. The case quickly became a media sensation, with every detail scrutinized by the public. The Reiner's public image, success, family, legacy, was shattered overnight, replaced by a story of addiction, anger, and tragedy that no one saw coming. The world watched, desperate for answers, as the story dominated headlines and social media feeds. People everywhere wondered what could have led to such devastation. How could this happen to such a celebrated family? The question echoed from Los Angeles to New York and across the globe. The legal battle was just beginning, and the search for truth would grip Hollywood for months to come. One thing was certain: the city and the industry would never be the same again. Rob Reiner was more than a director. He was a creative force whose work shaped the very fabric of American film and television for decades. He was a cornerstone of American entertainment, a visionary whose influence reached far beyond the movies he made or the awards he won. Born to comedy legend Carl Reiner, Rob grew up surrounded by laughter, wit, and the magic of show business. He first became famous as Meathead on All in the Family, a role that not only made him a household name, but also earned him 2 Emmys and the admiration of millions. But Rob's talents didn't stop at acting. He then directed a string of classics that would become cultural touchstones for generations to come. The Princess Bride, Stand By Me, When Harry Met Sally, and A Few Good Men. Each film showcased his unique ability to blend humor, heart, and humanity, creating stories that resonated deeply with audiences. His films made audiences laugh, cry, and think. His influence is immeasurable. Generations have grown up quoting his lines, sharing his stories, and finding comfort in the worlds he created. Off-screen, Rob was a devoted family man, cherishing time with his loved ones and always putting family first, even as his career soared. After an early marriage to Penny Marshall, which brought together 2 rising stars of Hollywood, he found lasting love with Michelle Singer, raising 3 children together and building a home filled with warmth and laughter. Jake, Romy, and Nick were the center of his world, and he took immense pride in watching them grow and pursue their own dreams. The Reiners were a Hollywood dynasty, spanning generations of creativity, talent, and a deep commitment to the arts. Rob was also a passionate activist, using his platform and voice to champion causes he believed in, from social justice to children's health. His death, alongside Michelle's, is a loss not just for their family, but for the entire creative community, a void that will be felt for years to come. The contrast between his public image, so full of life, humor, and compassion, and the circumstances of his death is almost impossible to comprehend. The Reiner legacy, once defined by art and activism, is now marked by tragedy. Hollywood lost an icon, a storyteller, and a champion for good. And a family lost its heart, a reminder of how deeply one life can touch so many others. At the center of this tragedy is Nick Reiner, a son long plagued by addiction. His struggle with drugs was well known: over a dozen rehab stints, periods of homelessness, and a volatile relationship with his parents. In 2015, Nick and Rob tried to bridge their pain through art, co-writing Being Charlie, a film about addiction and a strained father-son bond. Despite their efforts, Nick's anger and instability persisted. Friends described him as hostile, often lashing out at those trying to help. The Reiners poured love and resources into his recovery, but the darkness remained. For Rob and Michelle, it was a heartbreaking battle they couldn't win. Nick's story is a stark reminder. Fame and fortune can't shield a family from addiction's devastation. Sometimes, love just isn't enough. The night before the murders, the Reiners attended a Christmas party at Conan O'Brien's home, bringing Nick along. What should have been a festive night quickly soured. Nick's odd, confrontational behavior unsettled guests. He moved through the crowd, asking if people were famous, growing increasingly agitated. Tension erupted into a heated argument between Nick and Rob, witnessed by many. Nick stormed out alone, leaving his parents behind. That public fight, just hours before the tragedy, became a crucial piece of the investigation. For Rob and Michelle, it was another painful episode in a long struggle. They returned home, likely exhausted and worried. No one could have predicted the horror that would follow. The Christmas party was the final, public chapter before everything changed. Police arrived at the Reiners' home to a scene of shocking violence, both victims killed by knife wounds. There was no forced entry. The doors were locked, windows intact, security system silent. This pointed to someone they knew, narrowing the suspect list. Investigators quickly focused on Nick, piecing together the timeline from the Christmas party and his history of volatility. The evidence, no break-in, a public argument, and Nick's troubled past, formed a compelling case. Nick was arrested the same day his parents were found. By the next day, police announced he was the prime suspect. He was booked on suspicion of murder, held without bail. The swift arrest showed law enforcement's confidence in their case. The justice process was underway, but the family's nightmare had only begun. Facing the gravest charges, Nick Reiner hired powerhouse defense attorney Alan Jackson. Jackson's reputation is formidable. He's won high-profile cases and knows both sides of the courtroom, having prosecuted Phil Spector. He's defended celebrities like Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey, and recently secured a stunning acquittal for Karen Reed. Jackson is known for meticulous preparation and crafting compelling counter-narratives. His involvement signals a fierce legal battle ahead. By hiring Jackson, Nick's team made it clear, they're ready to fight every step. The stage is set for a dramatic courtroom showdown. The prosecution faces a master strategist. The truth behind the Brentwood tragedy will be fiercely contested. Beyond the criminal case, the Reiner tragedy carries massive financial stakes. Rob and Michelle's estate is worth millions, but California's Slayer rule could change everything. The law bars anyone who intentionally kills from inheriting their victim's estate. If Nick is convicted, he gets nothing. Prosecutors may argue that money was a motive, but the Slayer rule has a loophole: intent. If Nick is found not guilty by reason of insanity, he may still inherit. The defense could argue Nick was legally insane, lacking intent. The outcome of the trial will decide not just Nick's fate, but the fate of a fortune. The intersection of law, morality, and money adds another twist to this family's tragedy. In this case, justice and inheritance are deeply intertwined. As the legal process unfolds, the world watches. Nick's arraignment was postponed for medical reasons, hinting at the psychological complexities ahead. A plea of not guilty by reason of insanity seems likely, given his history and Jackson's strategy. The defense will argue Nick was incapable of understanding his actions. The prosecution will push for first-degree murder. The trial will hinge on expert testimony about Nick's mental state. Possible outcomes: conviction and life in prison, acquittal, or commitment to a mental hospital, each with profound consequences. If found insane, Nick could inherit. If convicted, he loses everything. For the family and public, no verdict can erase the pain. The case leaves haunting questions about responsibility, justice, and the limits of love. Hollywood's tragedy is now a courtroom drama with no easy answers. The Reiner family is forever changed, marked by a tragedy that will echo through generations. 2 lives lost, a son accused, and siblings left to grieve in the shadow of heartbreak. The pain is not just theirs, but ripples outward, touching friends, extended family, and all who knew them. Their public statement, asking for privacy, hints at unimaginable pain and the overwhelming burden of public scrutiny. This case is a public lesson in the destructive power of addiction and mental illness, showing how these struggles can devastate even the most privileged families. Even with wealth, influence, and resources, the Reiners couldn't save their family from tragedy. Money and status offered no shield from heartbreak. Rob Reiner was beloved by millions. His talent and warmth touched countless lives, both on and off the screen. His violent death feels personal to many, as if a light in their own lives has been dimmed. The story exposes the darkness that can exist behind Hollywood's glamour, reminding us that fame cannot protect anyone from suffering. It's a cautionary tale about the fragility of family and the limits of love, no matter how strong the bonds may seem. The tragedy will be analyzed for years, debated by experts and discussed in living rooms across the country. But at its core, it's about human suffering and loss, pain that statistics and headlines can never fully capture. No verdict, no sentence can restore what's been lost or heal the wounds left behind. The legacy is one of profound grief, a family destroyed, a community in mourning, and a world left searching for answers. It's a somber reminder, even the brightest stars can be touched by darkness, and their light, once lost, leaves a void that can never truly be filled.